This morning, Chris Paul coming back to the Los Angeles Clippers. Our senior insider broke this story and joins us now. Shams, why did Chris Paul decide to return here to the Los Angeles Clippers?
Malika, Chris Paul wanted to stay near his family in Los Angeles this upcoming season, and the Clippers needed another reserve guard. They needed someone at the point guard position coming off the bench, so it made it a perfect match, a perfect reunion. And multiple suitors such as Milwaukee, Dallas, Charlotte all expressed interest in Chris Paul over the last few weeks. But now the ability to join a contender in LA, the history, shared history that these two sides have together, 5 All-Star appearances, 5 All-NBA teams, a franchise record with the Clippers in 6 years that he had spent there prior. And he really wanted to see, can he return back to the Clippers? And this is a team full of veteran players. It's a deep team. I'm told Chris Paul very much understands his role could fluctuate night to night. He might not play on some nights, but the ability to start, come off the bench, and be a plug-and-play player. This is someone that could have a pretty impactful role coming off that Clippers bench.
Yeah, Shams, I know his role may look a little bit different, but I'm a sucker for the nostalgia. I love seeing already the clips that have been circulating around the internet of those Lob City Clippers and the thought that we're going to get to see a new version of that once again. But this time it's going to be Chris's 21st season in the NBA. Do you have any reporting to suggest that we should be thinking about this as his last hurrah?
Malika, I'm told Chris Paul is expected to retire after this season. He's going to go through training camp, go through the season like he always does, see how it goes. But his plan is for this to be his final season. He told the Pat McAfee show a month ago that he wanted to be back near his family. Now he's back in Los Angeles. He got to do just that for a potential storybook finish to a 21-year illustrious Hall of Fame career.
And it's so good to see him back in a Clippers uniform. That's going to be a treat for all of us fans. Shams, thank you so much. We're going to be talking to you again a little bit later in the show. It's hard to fathom that this could be the last run, as Shams is saying, because he went for nearly 9.7 assists per game as the Spurs veteran leader. And this is what gets me. He started in all 82 games last season. It was just the second time he's done that in his career. He also did that in 2014-15 when he ranked 6th in MVP voting. And who was he playing for? The Los Angeles Clippers, of course. As we say hello to our friends Brian Windhorst, Kendrick Perkins, Bobby Marks. It's always good to have you in studio, my friend. Brian, I am going to start with you here and talk about the fit. We're looking at an incredibly deep, if not a little bit of an older Los Angeles Clippers team. How do you see CP3 slotting in here?
Well, this is a great value signing for the Clippers. They get a first ballot Hall of Famer, really for a bargain basement contract, because he was prioritizing staying home in Los Angeles ahead of playing time and role. He could have gone to Milwaukee, as Shams mentioned, and gotten more guaranteed playing time. That's not going to be the case here. From what I understand, he's not going to have guaranteed playing time. There are going to be nights where James Harden and their backup Chris Dunn get the minutes at point guard, and Chris Paul might not play at all, which is something you've never seen from him before. He has understood that. He understands that he is going to be in that spot that he hasn't. He wants to be on a competitive team in the market he wants to play in near his family. And, look, there had to be an understanding with James Harden. He and James Harden didn't have the greatest relationship when they were in Houston a few years ago, but Harden is on board with this signing. They went to him with it first. He understands that he played the 5th most minutes in the league last year, and anything the Clippers can do to support and protect him is welcomed, and that's what this move is.
Okay, you said a whole lot of important stuff right there, Brian. And in fact, I'm most interested, Perk, in the thought that a guy who started in 82 games last season is okay with his role now be coming off of the bench. Do you think from a basketball perspective, because for his family, I am so very happy for Jada and the whole crew that Chris Paul is closer to home here. From a basketball perspective, is this the right fit for his final season?
Congratulations to Steve Ballmer and the Los Angeles Clippers. They have officially become the nursing home for the NBA for the players that are on the back end of their career. No, I'm serious, because if we think that this is about to move the needle for the Clippers for us being a competitor, not just a title contender, but competing in the tough Western Conference, it's not. And I get it. Chris Paul, he brings great value, whether he's playing or whether he's on the bench being an extension of Ty Lue. But when I look at their roster, I look at a guy like Dunn. Yes, he's a guy that could defend at a high level, but the Clippers look old. And they still, to me, have a problem at that wing position when it comes down to depth from guys that could compete and play at a high level on the defensive side of things. Offensively, they got enough to put up points. They're going to have a good regular season. But when it comes down to them competing in the Western Conference, especially when they get postseason time, can they compete with the likes of a Houston, OKC, Denver, even the Lakers now? I just don't see it.
Look, I mean, this team, it goes as Kawhi Leonard goes, right? Ultimately, how healthy is Kawhi Leonard? That is going to dictate what the Los Angeles Clippers are able to do. Because if we were talking about 2017 and looking at all of these guys on this roster, this would be a formidable group. But this is a little bit of an older group that we're looking at now. Bobby, can you just show us what this rotation could look like for the Los Angeles Clippers? Because I'm a little more intrigued than Perk is, I think.
Well, it's certainly deep here, Malik, and this is with John Collins and Bradley Beal. It's bigger when you have Collins and Ivica Zubac together. I think the most important thing is to focus on this column here. When you look at all the Chris Paul, certainly Chris Dunn, Bogdan Bogdanovic, Nick Batum, Derek Jones Jr., Brook Lopez. Here's the one thing with the Clips that's interesting. I'm going to contradict Perk a little bit here. Age is just a number, right? It's just a number. Yes, they are the most seasoned, I won't call them older team. 8 players, 30 years or older. Now, here's the one thing. This is for better or for worse right here. Their bench, the players that we just mentioned, 287 games started. So it's a good problem, but it could also be a bad problem because if you're looking at Ty Lue,
right,
how do you balance minutes, right? That's going to be the most important thing. I think it's the most, this is going to be probably the most challenging for Ty Lue,
right,
because it's going to have to be buy-in.
Right.
Everybody's going to have to buy in, especially for that bench that they have a lot of starters.
When you're looking at a group, we'll call it seasoned, a seasoned roster. You don't want anyone to get over-salted and become salty. When you look at that many starters, you don't, starting minutes and starting games, there's going to be a lot of big personalities here to manage. But if anyone can do it, I do believe that it is Ty Lue. Perk, we were talking on our production call before the show, and you said that you had a grade for the Clippers offseason that you wanted to share with America. What is that and why?
Well, I would give them a C, to be honest with you, because, again, while other teams around the league, you're watching them because Oklahoma City has set the bar for us needing the youth. You're watching them, and they've added Bradley Beal, who over the last 4 or 5 years had played over 60 games one time in his career. So he has an injury history. We know what Kawhi Leonard has. I'm a huge fan of Big Zubac. We know what he could bring to the table. But James Harden has a history also of folding like clean sheets when it comes down to the postseason. So again, I get it. You get Bradley Beal at a bargain on a 2-year, $11 million deal, but we haven't seen the best version of Bradley Beal in quite some time. And I don't know if he could just turn it on, and I don't think others around the league care if he turn it on. And to be honest, if I had to give them what they rank in the state of California for as off seasons or what they rank for as teams, I would have them third on the list behind the Lakers and Golden State right now.
Behind Golden State, who hasn't really done much of anything here, Brian?
They don't have to.
Kaminga might disagree.
It's July, man. I mean, what are we doing? They had what, about $17 or $18 million to spend, and they got Brook Lopez, Bradley Beal, and Chris Paul, 3 guys who were full-time Well, Bradley Beal lost his starting job for about 6 weeks, but were starters in the league last year that Bobby talked about. They're all going to be backups now, and they got them at discount prices. It's one thing to pay a starter's money to be a backup. It's another thing to pay a starter backup's money to be a backup. I agree, Perk. The Oklahoma City Thunder are not raising their eyebrows from their lounge chairs right now, but this team got better. I don't know where they would rank in the Western, in California, because the Lakers did some similar things with their exception money, but I think the Clippers did a good job of building out their depth. And look, if they had given these guys in their mid to late 30s 2- and 3-year contracts, I would be a little concerned. They're all 1-year deals. They can opt out next year. Their salary cap is flexible. Ultimately, at the end of the day, the Clippers are going to go as far as a healthy Kawhi Leonard takes them. They need to support Kawhi Leonard and support James Harden, and that's what they've done with these signings.
I get it, Wendy, but we still have to start moving on, because we're living in the past of what those guys did in the past and not what they've been providing in the present. when you talk about the addition of a Brook Lopez, I get it, backup center, a guy that can stretch the floor, but he's also a guy that was getting cooked last year in the pick and roll in the drop coverage. He's not the best defender that he used to be. Same with a guy like Bradley Beal. Nicholas Batum is kind of old as hell, although he does come in and do a lot of the little things. I'm just looking at the direction of the direction of the league, and I'm looking at a team like the Houston Rockets who got great depth at the wing position along with youth, and I'm just looking at it. It's just not moving me what the Clippers are doing.
I'm thankful Perk wasn't my teacher at Marist College, because I would have never graded with that grade that he gave them as a C. I would say this, they did enough this offseason to keep themselves in contention as a top 8 team in the Western Conference. Not number one, but certainly where Houston and Denver and Dallas and Minnesota, some of these other teams, they've done enough to keep themselves in the mix.
The thing that I keep coming back to is our friend Brian Windhorst, as I have bobblehead Brian Windhorst here to show you. I keep thinking of Brian Windhorst saying, value contracts, value contracts, value contracts, right? Like it's the value that you're getting these guys on. It's not like you're getting these guys on max deals anymore. And I do think we need to take that into consideration. Can I just tell you guys, though, I'm excited. I'm excited to see Chris Paul back in a Clippers uniform as a basketball fan. I'm kind of excited by the idea of seeing Damian Lillard, even a season away, back in a Portland Trailblazers uniform. The Denver Nuggets got good this offseason. The Clippers go in and they get a backup center in Brook Lopez. Like, this is what excites me, Bobby, as a basketball fan.
I wrote 8 teams down in the top. I can think we can make an argument for 8 teams right now, and that doesn't include San Antonio, New Orleans, Phoenix, teams like that.
And how many of those 8 are in the Western Conference?
Oh, no, these are all in the 8. These are my 8 Western Conference teams.
I was going to say the top teams, the Western Conference is formidable. Still to come on. After the Lakers, 3-time all-defense first-team member Marcus Smart will don the purple and gold this season. Smart plans to sign a 2-year, $11 million deal with the Lakers after finalizing a buyout with the Washington Wizards. The 2022 Defensive Player of the Year chose Los Angeles over interest from the Suns and the Milwaukee Bucks here. Let's bring back our senior insider, Shams Charania. Shams, how did this deal come together?
Marcus Smart wanted to be back in championship contention mode. His first 9 seasons in the NBA, the rival Boston Celtics, the rival of the Lakers. He made it to the playoffs, competed deep in multiple runs there for 9 consecutive seasons. Then he missed the playoffs. The last 2 years, I'm told he's been working hard on his body this offseason to return to the form in 2022 when he won the Defensive Player of the Year award. And so once he got permission from the Wizards to speak to the Lakers, Bucks, and Suns, his attention turned toward the Lakers. It was a close race. I'm told one thing that was instrumental in all this was Luka Doncic. He called Marcus Smart directly multiple times last week, told him how much he wants to play with him in Los Angeles. And so it was a close race. It came down to opportunity, some financial components involved in this as well, but they view Marcus Smart kind of as that Dorian Finney-Smith replacement, as the point of attack defender for J.J. Redick. And so you look at that right there. Marcus Smart joined Jake LaRavia and DeAndre Ayton as additions. And Luka Doncic played a role not only with Marcus Smart, but also with the signing of DeAndre Ayton. This team obviously has made some shifts this offseason.
And that's a little bit of a different role for Luka. It's not that he hasn't been a leader around locker rooms in the past, but making those sorts of phone calls is not something I remember hearing as much of in previous seasons. That's really interesting insight, Shams. Thank you so very much. Shams mentioned it. It's been a little bit of a different role for Marcus Smart lately. He's played a combined 54 games the last 2 seasons. He's been under 50 games played in 3 of the last 5 seasons. As you can see right here, a steep departure from his time with the Boston Celtics. Perk, you know him well from your time with Boston, around Boston. How do you see him impacting this Los Angeles Lakers team?
Oh, hell of a pickup for the Lakers. Look, the Lakers they haven't had a defender like Marcus Smart on the perimeter since Alex Caruso. And I understand, like, the last 2 seasons, we haven't seen the best version of Marcus Smart. But let's keep it real. He's been playing for no reason. Now, when you get back to what Sean's alluded to, being in on that title team and playing for something at the age of 31, Marcus Smart is going to be the best version of himself. I had a point in my career before I was on legit title contenders, where a team where we lost 18 games in a row. And I walked into the arena, I walked into the practice facility, and I lived my life every single day knowing that we were going to get our ass kicked. But once the tables was turned and we made a trade for Kevin Garnett, we made a trade for Ray Allen, and we became legit title contenders, my mindset changed, and all of a sudden it got more professional off the court. But they got the best version of Kendrick Perkins on the court. We're going to see that with Marcus Smart in the Los Angeles Lakers.
And we've certainly seen that from Marcus Smart in past years with the Boston Celtics. It's the last couple of seasons that have been a little bit of a drought. I got to say, I underestimated the amount of Boston Celtics fans that still pour so much into that Lakers-Celtics rivalry that say, hey, we don't want to, no, Marcus Smart, we're not going to root for him anymore now that he's with the Los Angeles Lakers. And it was partly, as Shams is reporting, Luka Doncic, who picked up the phone and said, Marcus, come here to Los Angeles. Brian, what do you make of that?
Well, first off, I think you know what I'm going to say, Malika. Value. This is a key signing for value. They got him for the biannual exception. He took the buyout and is now coming at age 31 to play for the Lakers for less than his normal salary was going to be, with high motivation. But the thing that's interesting to me about the Luka recruitment was that he is definitely on the same page as the Lakers front office. I think it's key what Shams described, and I checked this out too. The phone calls. Look, I can send somebody a text and say, hey, it would be kind of cool for you to hang out with me next year, and put the phone down. The multiple phone calls while Luka was overseas, after obviously communicating with the Lakers front office saying, hey, we can get Marcus Smart, there's competition for him, can you reach out to him? To me, that's really important if you're a Laker fan. Luka working side by side with the front office, spending time, working on being on the same page. The reason that's important, Luka, I'll say it again as well, Luka has a contract extension option coming starting as recently as August 2nd. And anything that the Lakers do with their bench positions or anything like that, all of it, even LeBron's contract and his option, it's all secondary to getting number 77 into a long-term deal. And if he is working hand in hand with the front office on acquiring players and recruiting players, that's a very good sign about where he's looking at going forward.
Whenever Windy gets on the Windy soapbox, I'm just gonna start having my little Windy, making sure we underscore it. By the way, I'm gonna try not to take any offense to the fact that you only text me when you want to hang out. I've never gotten multiple phone calls from you, Brian. I have gotten multiple phone calls from Bobby. Bobby, all these new pieces in the Lakers lineup, how do they fit together?
Well, I think the biggest question was backcourt depth. We talked about it early in free agency, and I think with Marcus Smart, it's a lot of interchangeable lineups there. Certainly you can put him in there for Austin Reeves. They went out and got DeAndre Ayton, as we talked about, Jake LaRavia. Here's where we're looking at. It's okay with hitting doubles in free agency. Everybody talks about hitting a home run. $19 million, Brian Windhorst's value, right? Ayton, Smart, and LaRavia for one season here. Two of them are on buyout. Of course, we are going to be waiting on Luka. 4 years, $222 million. And I know a lot of Laker fans hit me up last night and they said, can we go out and get a 15th player? You cannot right now because of where you are under the first apron. You're $1 million below. Jordan Goodwin, who was waived as part of this, you cannot sign him on a two-way contract because he has 4 years of service. Certainly a loss, but when you look at it, if the Lakers get Marcus Smart, Boston version,
the Clippers, Chris Paul. First up, we're going to top ankle breakers. Bobby, this is the 2012 Chris Paul. A little crossover.
Just waiting for him to throw that alley-oop to Blake Griffin there.
Lob City. And then we're going to go to 2015. Crossing over two defenders. I bet you forgot he could do that.
What, dunk?
Driving all the way in for the dunk. And then, Brian, this is 2013, making Corey Brewer slide to the right. Crisscross.
Corey Brewer's a coach now. Why would you do this to him?
Everybody clap your hands. Park, we had to do an entire section for Top Lob City. Oh, the memories. This is 2014. Woo!
Wow.
Well, hey, I'm telling you, I was part of them. I got put on a couple of posters. It was scary to play against Lob City.
Proudly.
Here y'all go. Y'all just got to be petty. Y'all just got to be petty.
You knew we were going to pull that clip up. I love that you said we.
Don't call my phone for a week.
DeAndre Jordan getting up.
That was the last we saw of Brandon Knight.
Yeah, and DeAndre clearly knew it by that face, too. And then just a little Crispy and Chris here. Just some Crispy and Chris. These have made for great memes, right, nowadays. And then this is what, 2016? He worried about an over and back violation, so he draws the clever foul. Even Spo's impressed there. Don't get the over and back, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. And then DeAndre Jordan, he mistakes the shot block buzzer with the end of game buzzer. And he thinks the game was over. Chris is a little upset, but it's because he's one of the best in closing time. 2013, the West round 2. Woo, actually, this was the first round, right? Game 2.
On the elite defender, too, in Tony Allen.
Right here. In a game 7, no less. Ice
that
in
was one of
his
those moments
veins.
of his career right there.
Clinching the series over the Spurs here. Chris Paul, we get to see him back in a Clippers uniform. He turned around the Clippers in his first 6 seasons with the franchise. He led them as a perennial contender under his leadership. He's also the team's all-time assist leader. He ranks 2nd in steals for the franchise. Ohm Young-Masuk covers the Los Angeles Clippers for us, along with much, much more. CP3 Ohm is just the latest signing, though, for this Clippers team that's had a very, very busy summer. Last week, we see Bradley Beal was signed to a 2-year, $11 million deal with the Clippers, rather. Why are the Clippers so high on getting Beal and now bringing in CP3?
The Clippers are Lawrence Frank said that he's tried to trade for Bradley Beal twice before in his career and was not able to get him. And it really took a lot of recruiting. It took a lot of talking with one of the most respected agents in the league, Mark Bartelstein, who is Bradley Beal's agent. James Harden jumped on the phone and talked to Mark Bartelstein for 30 minutes, according to Lawrence Frank. But they feel that Bradley Beal will come in and help fill the void that they lost with Norman Powell shooting and scoring. He is vital for them because Bradley Beal, and over his career, has averaged 4 assists per game. They're going to need some of that playmaking. You remember what happened in Denver last season. They needed somebody to score outside of Kawhi and James. They also needed some more shooting. They need a little more playmaking. They believe Bradley Beal can come in and do all those things.
Thank you so much for that insight. You mentioned the enthusiasm that the Clippers have for Beal. This is what that sounds like. Take a listen to Clippers general manager Lawrence Frank.
Lawrence, are you going to sign Bradley Beal? I mean, you signed Bradley.
Yes! We signed him! Done!
Did.
Rod Thorne, who was my boss in New Jersey for 10 years, was with the Washington Wizards when Brad was there. And Rod said, Brad Beal is one of the best two-way players in the game when he was with him. And I know you can pick apart someone's game and you can say, hey, this is what he was in Phoenix. This is the analytics. This is the film. The way that we look at players like Brad is what they can be, not what they are. And so what I said is what I meant. I do think Brad's a two-way player.
I'm sorry, I'm still amused by that. Yes, we signed him. That was maybe the most energetic I've ever seen Lawrence Frank ever in my career. Perk, are you surprised by that reaction? I'm delighted by it.
I am. Like, two-way player? What are we talking about? Like, you know what I mean? Bradley Beal, yes, an elite scorer, but he hasn't been that over the last 4 or 5 years. Matter of fact, Bradley Beal needs to be available. That's another thing that we need to talk about. But I think he's a good addition. Do I think he's a needle mover that I'm about to put the Clippers in the big scheme of things when it comes down to being one of the best teams in the Western Conference? I'm not. Bradley Beal is to the point now of his career where he has to show us that he could continue, that he could still deliver at a high, at an elite level on a consistent basis. So I get it. Lawrence Frank, he signed him. He been wanting him. He loves Bradley Beal, but I don't feel that way. So I need to see it. I need to see it between the lines.
The offseason. Everybody loves their team and where they are right now. I would say this, though. I think it's a great addition for them based on the circumstances, and I think Bradley Beal is in a different position now with the Clippers than he was in Phoenix.
Right.
And I think that's where you have to take that context. Is he a two-way? Are we going to see him on Lou Dort on All-NBA? I don't think so. But based on where the Clippers are right now, he doesn't have to be the guy. He's basically, when you have James Harden and certainly Kawhi Leonard, it's a nice complementary piece to those two
We
players.
expect Bradley Beal to start for the
We do,
right?
yes, we do expect him to start.
All right, just double checking on that one. As the appearance, this value. This is what this means. Whenever you see Bobblehead Brian, Bobblehead Windhorst, that means a value contract. Yes, Perk. Last word on this, real quick.
Yeah, so my thing is he has to deliver somewhat to the same standard that Norman Powell delivered last year. Norman Powell should have been an all-star. Norman Powell was averaging 24 playing alongside James Harden and Kawhi Leonard. So we got to see it. Again, I need to see that best version of Bradley Beal.
Right.
We haven't seen it in a long time.
Proof is in the pudding, and you and I, Perk, both love some pudding. Another story we're following out of the WNBA, Caitlin Clark's status. Of course, she was unable to fully participate in All-Star Weekend as she continues to recover from that right groin injury. Clark was replaced in the three-point contest by Fever teammate Lexi Hull and did coach her team in the All-Star game. But what is her status for when the Fever take the court on Tuesday against the Liberty right here on ESPN? Here's head coach Stephanie White's update.
I think she's progressing. I think that we're continuing to address, everything that needs to be addressed. She's going to see some doctors and get some more tests run early in the week. I don't expect her to be available on Tuesday. So we're just going to continue to take it one day at a time and let her get her evaluations early this week, and then once we've done that, hopefully we'll have more of a clear line in what it looks like.
So that was Coach White yesterday. Clark missed 10 of the Fever's games this season, with Indy going 4-6 in her absence. That's compared to 8-5 with her.
Leading up to Saturday night's game, it was really spearheaded by the leaders, the player leaders of the PA. As you heard Kelsey Plum say, they wanted to make a collected, united statement, and they felt they don't have to use words to do that. We know that in 2020, they wore shirts that supported the Black Lives Matter movement. They've also worn shirts that supported Brittany Griner when she was being detained overseas. So they knew that shirts would be a powerful and useful way to get their messaging across. Now, there was a players only meeting on Saturday morning, very early, around 8 a.m. So a couple people didn't quite make it down. We all know how big of a party All-Star Weekend was, but the meeting was just to get on the same page, to make sure everyone felt comfortable wearing those shirts and that everyone was ready to go out and make this statement, take the message, the conversations that they've been having behind closed doors for the last couple months and bring them to the national forefront. As you said, Malika, this was such a huge All-Star weekend. So many eyes were on this weekend. They knew that they could really get their point across here.
Yeah, and you mentioned that not every player was represented. Not every player was able to attend that early morning meeting. I was told that representatives from the Players Association made sure to chat with players ahead of this game so that everyone could get on the same page. We know that All-Star weekend, it is as much about the party as what's happening on the floor as it is about meetings that are able to happen during that span. Can you just update us, Kendra? Where do things stand in these CBA negotiations and conversations?
Yeah, it seems like they're at a little bit of a standstill. The part that is really holding everything up is the topic of increased salary, and what the players are saying is getting a bigger piece of the pie when it comes to revenue shares. That is what Nafisa Collier told me is their non-negotiable. It's the area that they're not budging on. And it's something that the players were very disappointed the league didn't address as much in that meeting that they had on Thursday in Indy, with over 40 players attending that. So players looked at that, and Brianna Stewart even said it was a missed opportunity because we didn't get much progress on this area. Now moving forward, Malika, it's unclear if there's going to be another in-person meeting. Certainly not one of that magnitude with 40 players going. But Nneka Gumake, the union president, said, look, we've seen the growth in the league, and as it stands, the current salary system isn't paying us what we are owed, which was, of course, the messaging on those shirts. Nneka said we want to be able to have that fair share moving forward, especially as we see all of the investment going on, and we want to be able to have our salaries reflected in the structure that makes sense to us.
Yeah, Nneka always so clearly piercing through for the voice of the players as to what their goal is in these negotiations. Kendra Andrews, I always appreciate spending a little time with you, sis, on NBA Today. Let's dive into the numbers here that we're hearing WNBA players talk about, because I want to be very clear. Right now, there's a lot of folks having a lot of conversations in various different spaces about what WNBA players are or are not owed and deserved. And frankly, Bobby, it's getting a little bit loud and a little bit confusing, I think, for a lot of people. And you've made it your summer homework to really dive into the numbers, to the CBA here. When we talk about big words like revenue share, what does that actually mean? What are WNBA players getting?
I would say it's eye-opening as far as where this WNBA salary cap and certainly where the CBA right now we're looking at 9% of revenue sharing that WNBA players are receiving. Now, for example, what NBA players is 51%. So, of course, there is a significant gap in revenue there. This CBA was done in January of 2020, before COVID hit, of course. We are in different times right now. There are going to be 5 new expansion teams in the near future. There is a new national TV deal that is going to be signed. Teams are selling at 9-figure numbers here. The system as is right now is flawed.
Yeah.
The reality is that when the first pick in the draft, Paige Beckers, is signing for $78,000 a year, it's flawed. The system is not designed to increase as revenue increases. The system right now is there's a 3% increase no matter what. No matter if there's $1 billion in revenue or if there's $40 million in losses. So when they're talking about what needs to change, it certainly starts with revenue, and it certainly starts with as far as increasing player salary.
And players aren't caught up in the idea of, well,